Welcome back to my channel with huge OPDTs. Michael Bisping believes that Merab Dvalishvili has done more than enough to earn an immediate title shot in the UFC bantamweight division. Speaking on a recent episode of his show, Bisping dismissed the idea that Merab should be overlooked, pushed aside, pointing to his long body of work and consistency at the highest level of competition. According to Bisping, while there are a few fighters who have defeated Merab in the past, the overall resume clearly supports the case for a rematch. Merab's relentless pace, elite conditioning, and sustained success against top contenders make him one of the most deserving fighters in the division. From a merit-based perspective, Bisping believes it would be completely fair to give him another opportunity to fight for the belt. However, Bisping also acknowledged the realities of how the UFC operates. He suggested that Merab should take a brief step back and allow the division to play out naturally. With Umar Nurmagomedov emerging as a major contender, Bisping feels it makes sense for Petr Yan to face Umar first, assuming Umar gets past Davison Figueiredo. If that scenario unfolds, Yan versus Umar becomes a massive matchup with global implications. Bisping emphasized that both Yan and Umar are huge stars, particularly in the Russian region, with enormous fan bases and compelling narratives. They also share history with Merab, which adds even more intrigue. Stylistically, the fight would be a dream matchup for hardcore fans and a major promotional opportunity for the UFC. From a business standpoint, it aligns perfectly with how the organization builds momentum and maximizes value. In the meantime, Bisping encouraged Merab to take time off and enjoy the rewards of his hard work. He praised Merab for representing his country at the highest level, earning significant money and pushing himself to the limit throughout his career. Bisping advised him to rest his body and mind, take several months away from competition, and return refreshed and motivated. Ultimately, Bisping believes this approach benefits everyone involved. It allows the division to create massive hype, increases the value of the championship and position Merab to reclaim his throne under even bigger circumstances when he steps back into the spotlight. Massive news has emerged from one of the most trusted figures in Russian MMA media regarding a surprising training encounter between two of the sport's biggest names. The revelation comes from Khamzat, a longtime matchmaker for Khabib, Nurmagomedov's Eagle FC promotion, and a close associate of Team Khabib, known for his credibility and direct access to destiny fighters. Gadzhiev shared a story that immediately caught the attention of the MMA world. In a recent interview with a Russian media outlet, Gadzhiev revealed that he personally witnessed a grappling sparring session between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Khamzat while both fighters were training in Dubai. Chimaev reportedly spends a significant amount of time training there, while Khabib is frequently overseas working with athletes connected to AKA and his wider team. On this particular day, both men happened to be in the same gym, surrounded by other Dagestani fighters and training partners. According to Gadzhiev, the two exchanged greetings and casually agreed to engage in a short grappling session. What followed was an intense and highly technical exchange between two elite wrestlers. Chimaev was able to use his size and physical strength to secure top control for a portion of the round, creating difficult positions and applying heavy pressure from above. However, despite giving up size and no longer being an active competitor, Khabib demonstrated why he is regarded as one of the greatest grapplers in MMA history. Gadzhiev revealed that Khabib ultimately turned the tables from the bottom position and locked in a tight triangle choke, forcing Chimaev to submit. The former undefeated lightweight champion reportedly executed the technique with his trademark composure, timing, and precision. Gadzhiev went on to explain that this moment further strengthened his belief that Islam Makhachev would be able to defeat Khamzat if the two ever met in competition. He noted that Islam's submission game closely resembles Khabib's, describing it as suffocating, methodical, and technically superior in key grappling exchanges. While Chimaev relies heavily on aggression and physical dominance, Islam's approach is built on control, patience, and positional mastery. In Gajiev's view, if Khabib was capable of submitting Chimaev in training, despite the size disadvantage, then Islam would be more than capable of doing the same under the pressure and structure of an official UFC fight. The story has since fueled intense debate among fans and analysts, highlighting the enduring dominance of the Dagestani grappling system at the highest level of mixed martial arts. Joe Rogan recently shared his thoughts on the current state of the UFC welterweight division, offering insight into how competitive and unpredictable the landscape has become. According to Rogan, the next title shot appears to be narrowing down to two primary names, Kamaru Usman and Michael Morales, which speaks volumes about the depth of talent currently stacked in the division. Even fighters like Carlos Prates remain right in the mix, despite not yet being pushed to the very front of the title conversation. Prates, in particular, has been labeled by many as one of the breakout fighters of 2025. His momentum has been fueled by two massive knockout victories, including a devastating second-round finish of former champion Leon Edwards at UFC 322. That same event also saw Islam Makhachev capture the welterweight title, adding another layer of intrigue to the division's future. In a recent interview, Prates acknowledged that while he would love an immediate title opportunity, he fully expects the UFC to give Kamaru Usman the first shot at Makhachev. With that in mind, Prates has already begun looking ahead to potential matchups against contenders such as Jack Della Maddalena or Michael Morales. ESPN has also taken notice of Prates' rise, highlighting him during their 2025 awards discussion. His spinning elbow knockout was recognized as one of the most memorable moments of the year, placing him alongside other standout performances from major UFC events. As the promotion looks ahead to 2026, the welterweight division appears more loaded than ever, with names like Usman, Morales, Ian Gary, and Shavkat Rakhmonov all positioned as realistic threats, along with the possibility of a major star entering the division for a blockbuster super fight. Rogan spoke highly of Kamaru Usman's recent performance, expressing excitement at seeing flashes of championship-level dominance once again. He noted that many fans had begun to count Usman out due to ongoing narratives surrounding his knee issues, something Usman himself has openly discussed. Rogan acknowledged those concerns, but emphasized that age does not necessarily prevent an athlete from competing at an elite level, especially with access to modern recovery and rehabilitation methods. According to Rogan, Usman's physicality, control, and composure still resemble that of a world champion. He pointed out that despite the rise of dangerous contenders like Joaquin Buckley, who has been dismantling opponents with explosive performances, Usman proved he can still impose his will. Rogan concluded that the welterweight division remains one of the most exciting in the sport, with multiple legitimate contenders capable of making a serious run at the title. Manel Kape continues to draw attention following his impressive victory over brand rival, but the conversation has shifted beyond his performance inside the cage. While many praised his dominant showing, Kape has faced significant backlash for his recent comments regarding Alexander Pantoja and the injury that halted Pantoja's last fight. His remarks have sparked debate across the MMA community, particularly among fans who believe Pantoja deserves an immediate rematch. Kape stirred controversy by stating that Pantoja should not be granted an automatic rematch against Joshua Van. This claim did not sit well with many observers, as their previous fight ended just seconds into the opening round due to a serious injury. Rather than softening his stance, Kape doubled down and placed responsibility squarely on Pantoja himself. According to Kape, the dislocated elbow was the result of a technical error rather than bad luck or an unavoidable accident. Kape explained that Pantoja's decision-making on the ground directly contributed to the injury. He emphasized that extending the arm during a scramble is a fundamental mistake in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, particularly when attempting to stand up quickly. From Kape's perspective, this technical lapse led to the injury, and therefore the outcome should not stall the division or justify an immediate rematch. Realistically, the flyweight division is expected to move forward while Pantoja recovers, with no confirmed return date. It appears increasingly likely that Kape will challenge Joshua Van for the championship before Pantoja is medically cleared to compete. Despite the controversy, there remains optimism for the Brazilian former champion, as the UFC is still expected to grant him a title opportunity once he returns to full health. Pantoja's coach, Marcos D'Amata, addressed the situation in a recent interview and provided clarity on the recovery timeline. He stated that Pantoja is not expected to return before May or June of 2026 at the earliest. According to D'Amata, even with the best possible recovery conditions, an earlier comeback would not be realistic. He emphasized the importance of complete healing and avoiding unnecessary risk, making it clear that patience will be essential. Kape concluded by stating that the division cannot remain on hold indefinitely. In his view, the title picture must continue to evolve, with fighters earning their opportunities through activity and performance. While he acknowledged that the injury was unfortunate, he maintained that the flyweight division needs to move forward to determine the true champion, setting the stage for what could eventually become a highly anticipated rematch once Pantoja is ready to return. Jake Paul has once again sparked controversy after revealing interest in a potential matchup with former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. The comments were made during a recent appearance on the Impulsive podcast, where Paul openly discussed the idea of facing Ngannou and dismissed suggestions that he should follow a more cautious path. The remarks immediately raised eyebrows, with many questioning whether Paul is deliberately seeking the most dangerous opponents possible. During the conversation, Jake suggested that he believes he could perform better against Ngannou than others have, making bold claims about France's durability and chin. He went as far as labeling Ngannou as softer than expected, statements that quickly fueled debate across combat sports circles. Paul also pointed out that he lasted longer in his own high-profile bouts, implying that endurance and pacing could play a role if such a fight were ever to materialize. The discussion shifted toward the structure of a hypothetical bout, with Paul mentioning the possibility of an 8-round fight. Detail alone added to the shock value of his call-out, as Ngannou is widely regarded as one of the most physically intimidating and powerful punchers in combat sports history. Despite the risks, Paul appeared confident, suggesting that he believes the matchup could favor him under the right conditions. Jake also reflected on his recent fight against Anthony Joshua, offering his own assessment of that performance. He stated that he believes he won 2 rounds in the match before momentum shifted. According to Paul, the bout was competitive early, but things changed once he was dropped. He emphasized that he felt strong in the opening stages and was executing his game plan effectively. Paul explained that the biggest challenge came from dealing with the size, power, and mental pressure of facing a much larger opponent. He noted that sparring with big fighters feels very different when stepping into a real fight, especially when using smaller gloves. The impact of Joshua's power was more noticeable than expected, and the cumulative pressure eventually took its toll. Despite the loss, Jake framed the experience as a valuable learning opportunity. He expressed confidence that the fight helped him grow as a boxer, both physically and mentally. When asked whether Joshua's power surprised him, Paul downplayed the notion, stating that he anticipated the strength but still found the experience beneficial. Overall, Jake Paul's comments reflect his continued desire to test himself against the biggest names in combat sports. Whether a fight with Francis Ngannou ever becomes reality remains uncertain, but the call alone has once again positioned Paul at the center of attention, controversy, and debate.